Hey, are you thinking about moving to St. Johns County in 2023? Well, you want to stay tuned to this video because I'm going to be sharing the pros and cons of moving to this area, everything you need to know. So let's get started. If you're thinking about moving here to relocate for work or move your family here for a better way of life, maybe you're wanting to get away from the snow. I would be. Maybe you're looking at this area to retire. Well, stay tuned because in this video, we're going to be sharing pros and cons, everything that you need to know. And this video is going to help you make an informed decision. I'm Melissa Anderson with EXP. I'm your St. Johns County, Florida Realtor. And be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified every time a new video is released because we talk about all things living, working, playing in this area. All right, and so here is my contact information. I'll also include it in the description below. I have people reach out almost every day wanting more information, thinking about moving here, and I love helping. So feel free to reach out. It would be my absolute pleasure to help you. Okay, I debated on whether or not I should start with the pros or the cons, but looking at my list here, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. And I'm sure you can imagine that if you're even considering moving over here to this area, Northeast Florida, there's gotta be something that's drawing you here. And I'm sure that whatever it is, it's on this list. So I'm gonna start with the pros, and one is, and these aren't in any ranking order, but the first thing I'll start with is the excuse me, the A+ rated schools. We have the top rated schools in the state, and that was the primary reason why we chose to move here to this county. When we moved here, my daughter was in first grade and we were paying for a private school in Virginia, and here we didn't need to do that. It saved us a ton of money because the public schools are top notch. 2, proximity to the beach. If you love the ocean, it's a dream. It is an absolute dream to just be like 15, 20 minutes away, depending on where you live within the county, to drive, get in your car and go to the beach. So there's so many different beaches here in this area. You'll want to, always tell new people moving here, visit all of them because they're all so different from each other and they all have different feels, different vibes, to find the one that you love. We have our favorite, and then of course there's like, you know, touristy beach areas, and then you have like the locals beach. Maybe if you're just wanting like a chill, relaxed time, you'll want to go to the locals beach. So of course these beaches stay packed pretty much in the summer, as you can imagine, because it gets really hot here. But there's, like I said, there's so many to visit, and again, just proximity to the beach is an absolute pro. Taxes. There is no income tax in Florida, which is a huge, huge plus. Weather. So weather is actually on my pros and my cons list. So how I describe it is from, I would say, maybe like October through like May is absolute paradise. It's amazing. When we first moved here, like, we moved here, I think the month we got here was in November, and I'm all bundled up, like from where we came from. I'm like, oh, you know, it was cold. I get here and I'm like, I don't even need like a long sleeve shirt. I don't need a jacket. Like, it feels amazing. It's January right now while I'm shooting this video. My doors are open, air is off. I think the high today is 73. Guys, the weather is phenomenal. Now, I won't go, I'll just talk about the pros about the weather right now, but we'll talk about the cons later. But anyway, yeah, absolute paradise. I mean, how can you, like, people are getting beat down with snow, and here we are with like endless sunshine. So you can't beat that. All right, we have a lot of local like farmers markets that are really fun to explore in like the different neighborhoods. There's one like every Saturday at the St. Augustine Amphitheater that's really huge. There's one right up the road, like there's one in Beach Walk that's just started. I believe that one's like every Saturday. There's one that they have in Nocatee. So like every community almost has like their own farmers market. You can get locally grown food, vegetables, and of course like the different artisans in the area that visit. And what I like to say also about St. Johns County is that it's got, they're like big little cities. So it's, you know, maybe like Nocatee, it's like, you know, its own community. But even though they're like bigger areas, it still feels like a smaller community, or like the community that I am in. I think there's a little less than 400 homes. And that's the reason why I chose to live here, because I liked that close-knit community. But even though like, or then you have like Rivertown, it's a bigger community, but even though they're bigger, like there's close-knit community feel. I hope all of that makes sense. I kind of said it in a roundabout way, but there's so many different residential activities and things to bring the community together that it's easy to get to know your neighbors and form bonds and friendships. And that's why people really love it here. But yeah, so there's so many opportunities to get to know your neighbors and to really be a part of the community. People love that. And that kind of goes under like the community events. All right, so I don't know how you feel about this one. I'm sure if you're moving over here, you probably already have your own favorite NFL team, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you don't like football, but it's a plus. Like we have our own NFL team, you know, where I lived before we didn't. And of course, my husband is a Dallas Cowboys fan. So he's, you know, of course I have to root for them. Of course, when we moved here and Jacksonville had their own NFL team, you know, you have to be a Jaguars fan, right? So yeah, we have our own NFL team and they're doing really good right now. So looking forward to the game on Saturday. This area in and of itself is a phenomenal place to start a business. It's really small businesses, entrepreneurs, and I'm gonna share an article. I'll link to it in the description. But yeah, it's a top location for business here in Jacksonville. It's very business friendly and people like that. So those are just want to look at my list here, make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh yeah, proximity to things to do. So maybe if you have younger children, you know, we're just a short drive, like an hour and a half to Orlando, down to Disney. We really love, our preference is Universal. That's super close, just right down there. You have Savannah, Georgia. It's like 2 hours away. You have Fernandina Beach. There's all these little short commute drives. You can go down to Key West. So it's the proximity. This area is really great for that. All right. And then of course we have, I guess I'll include this in both the pros and the cons, but as far as like nature, just, especially if you're into wildlife, I love birds, you know, they say you reach a certain age and that's like all of a sudden it's like, you know, watching birds, putting out bird feeders is like the highlight of your life. That's pretty, I'm like looking, keep looking over here because there's a red cardinal out on my bird feeder right now. I love it. But anywho, even in our like community, you always see like so many different like native Florida birds, and it's amazing. It's so cool. And of course you see some other nature too that you might not think is so cool, and I'm gonna put that in my cons. But yeah, this is probably not an all like inclusive list of pros, but these are just some of the things that I know stuck out on the top of my mind that were absolutely worth listing. So whew. All right, we got through that. Now let's go to the cons. I'm gonna just say one thing that stood out to me right when we moved here. So like I said, we moved here in the month of November, and a pro was the weather. It was phenomenal at that time. One of the cons is, and you know, I think there's a different way to say it, but anoles, like the lizards, the anoles, and I think maybe they might be called anoles. I don't know, but I was shocked. Y'all, these lizards are everywhere, everywhere. You walk outside and it's like, they're just scattered. Like you go outside and look, they're like all over your back fence. They're all over the sidewalk. They're literally everywhere. I mean, they sell these in pet stores. Me and my husband are like, why? Why would somebody buy one? Like, why should we catch them? Like, it is insane how many of these anoles are around. And it was quite shocking for me. I was not used to seeing this level. And of course we bought a cat, or we adopted a cat about 2 years after we moved here. And yeah, she likes to bring those in the house. Anywho, just be prepared for that, okay? In addition, one of the cons, again, like I said, so there's lizards, snakes, and I hope, like, you know, it's not, yes, there's snakes. I mean, anywhere you live, like down south, you're gonna see snakes, right? Well, I would just highly recommend that there's like Facebook groups, like Facebook snake identification groups, and I can link those down below as well if you wanna check those out. I would highly recommend joining one of those groups so that you can be aware of the different types of snakes that you see. So you'll know which ones are venomous and which ones are non-venomous. If it's like, you know, a black racer out in the yard, I don't care. Like, those keep the venomous snakes away. And most times you can just use like your water hose to try to like get those snakes to go elsewhere. However, because St. Johns County is under construction so much, they're building so many different developments. I mean, you know, the snakes have to have somewhere to go. So I know for a while, like the pygmy rattlesnakes were a big deal. And they still are, like, especially in like the Nocatee area. So it's just really, you know, to keep your eye out and to be aware and to be informed and be educated. So back to that, another thing when they first tell you when you move to Florida is if there's any water at all, just understand that there's probably an alligator in it. So be prepared for that. I would never in 5 million years swim in any water that I could not see through here. So you just have to assume if there's water, then there is an alligator. And yes, you will see them even in the like retention ponds within the neighborhoods and stuff like that. You know, you'll see them. There'll be one and they'll be sunbathing or whatever. So you just want to be aware, like when you're walking your dogs, if you have like outdoor cats, stuff like that, just, you know, be aware and maybe not walk so close to the waterbed. I know that we have several water areas here in our neighborhood. Like I think if the alligator gets over like 5 feet, then they call it in, and unfortunately they do not relocate them. So just think about that. So yeah, so just be aware. I mean, now if we see one, you know, occasionally it's like, whatever, you know, you just don't even think about it. And you just kind of get used to it. But of course you're just, you know, you're safe. You try to be aware. All right, next is weather. So while weather was also a pro, I also added it to my con list because it gets hot in the summer. So I would say from like July through September, it is blazing. So be prepared for hot weather, humidity. Obviously we have AC, so you're gonna be, you know, covered there. We go to a lot of the water parks. Even though I said like Universal was our favorite park, we do go to like the Disney water parks. Those are pretty great when you wanna escape. It is hot, it's hot. So I would have to say though, like the high would be, like the heat index really doesn't get that high. Like I've lived places where say it'll be like 90, but because of the heat index, it'd feel like 111 out. It's not like that here. It's just really hot. And of course you have the beach. So let me throw a pro in there. You have the beach when it gets real hot. In addition to the heat in the summers, obviously we have hurricanes, and there hasn't been like a major hurricane that's done like massive destruction here, I think since like the 1960s. I think it was like Hurricane Dora or something like that. So we've lived here, we've been through several. We've never, thank goodness, you know, occurred any damage, like major damage. Our last home, we had an enclosed screened in pool area. We lost a few pool screens and we lost power. And now when we moved to this house, we got a generator. So that's something that you'll want to think about. and we had the generator hooked up to run the whole house in case we lose power. You can keep your, you know, AC on, all that kind of stuff. So, so yeah, hurricanes. And you can, I mean, like I said, we've stayed in the area for all of them that have come through this area. The last one that we had ended up being like a tropical, it was downgraded to a tropical storm once it got to us. Lots of wind and rain for an extended period of time, like, you know, maybe 24 hours straight of wind and rain. St. Augustine, like especially that downtown area, it floods every single time. And then it flooded there. They'll show it on the news, but then like 2 days later, you know, everything's back open for business. So they're prepared for that. Another con would be, and I guess that's how you look at it. I mean, it's developing, it'll be good in the long run, but construction and development, like I said, this area of St. Johns County is really booming. So there's a lot of new construction, a lot of building, a lot of new businesses, just basically everywhere you look. So for the next few years, that's just something that you'll have to deal with. The next thing is because Jacksonville, this area is like the largest land, like city by land mass in the whole US, everything's spread out. And especially like St. Johns County, because we have so many new communities in this area, you really kind of have to drive. It's not like, you know, things just aren't that established yet unless you live in some of the older communities, neighborhoods. But for the newer ones, things are really spread out. So you have to drive quite a ways to get to things. And I say quite a ways, it's not really that bad. It's maybe like, you know, I want to go to Target. Well, that's going to be, you know, 15, 20 miles, you know, something like that. Same, you know, we have tons of grocery stores that are close by, which is, you know, like Publix. There's like a Walgreens and CVS, but any kind of shopping and stuff like that, you know, at least 20 minutes. Then let's see what else we have here. If you choose, and I put this in a con, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a con. It's just something that you need to be prepared for, is if you choose to live in a newer community like Trailmark, Rivertown, you know, Markland, Shearwater, Silverleaf, one of these newer communities, Nocatee, Palencia, we have what's called a CDD fee, which is a community district development fee. And it's, and basically what this fee does is it's helping pay, you know, repay for like all of your luxury amenities, all the, like the staff that it takes to run these things, all the events that they're putting on, stuff like that. So usually with the like your HOA will be low, but the CDD fee could range, I mean, up to, you know, maybe $3,000 a year or something like that. But that's helping pay for like all of those luxury amenities that you are enjoying in your beautiful new neighborhood. So, all right, this was, wow, I'm just looking at the time here. Yeah, so I hope, like I said, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. If you have any questions about anything that I've mentioned or anything that I didn't mention, be sure to reach out. Here's my contact information again. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have. And hopefully my cons didn't deter you. I'm telling you, it's, you know, it's not that bad. Some people are like, oh, I can never, you know, live there. Like the alligators and the hurricane. No, I mean, no. Really? You want to be buried in 6 feet of snow with your snow plow and not being able to enjoy the outdoors? I mean, really, it is like paradise. So, all right, guys, until next time.